Welcome to Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Bobby Pominville, and I'm your reporter on the arts. And this is a show that I'm really going to enjoy because I have a friend here today. We both love music. We love singing. So I think we're going to get into some fun conversations about that. So I want to welcome my friend Nancy Jane Burman to the show today.
Thank you, Bobby.
Nice to have you. You are a private piano and voice instructor. You're a choir member and an accompanist. You probably do a lot of other things too, but mainly in music. But first, would you just tell us a little about your background?
In music.
Yes.
Okay. I went to Bethel College, now university, because I didn't know where else to go at the time. And my dad said if I went there, he'd let me live on campus. So I said, okay. And their choir was going to Europe, and I wanted to go to Europe. So I made it my point to get into the choir, which I did. And of course got to go to Europe, and then I stayed. And I took music classes because I didn't know what else to take.
Well, you were very, very well versed in music by that time.
I was.
You had been studying piano and maybe voice and been in a choir?
I did all of that through high school. I went to Stillwater High School. They had an excellent music program.
Oh, yes.
Took piano since I was in kindergarten. So a long time. So, yeah, I ended up majoring in music, and I was told by my advisor, who knew me since I was in middle school, that I would major in music education. I said, I don't want to teach. He said, too bad, you will major in it. So I did. I didn't have any choice. And I did my student teaching at the elementary level, and it was fun. I enjoyed it, and my supervisor teacher said, you would be good at this if you'd buckle down. I said, thank you, I don't want to do this. And that was the end of my music education. But I did graduate with that degree, and then I went on because I thought I wanted to do music theater.
Oh.
So I went on to Colorado and worked towards a degree in music theater, and eventually did some performing, but came back home and eventually got married and had a family and decided I wasn't going to do that. But in between there, before we got married, my next door neighbor came over after I'd graduated from college, and she said, would you teach our daughter to play piano? And I went, oh, I guess I should know how to do that, shouldn't I?
Yes, certainly.
So I figured out how to do it, and I took her on as a student, and that was the beginning of my private teaching. Then I decided I wanted to teach voice, so I went to my high school choir director, who at that time was Dennis Brown.
Oh, yes, I've heard the name.
And I said, excuse me, what can I do? And he said, start out in community ed. So I did. I had group voice classes in community ed, and that's how I got my first students. Oh. And it was a lot of fun.
I never would have thought of that.
It worked very, very well. Yeah, that's.
Oh, okay. And when I was teaching voice, I was picking up students from Hudson because I was teaching in Hudson mainly, and people knew me or teachers could recommend me. And then the piano thing I did too because that was my love.
We needed piano teachers.
I love piano.
We still need piano teachers.
Yes, and I know what you're saying because you know what? It's not just you sit down and teach it. There's things to think about and how to motivate kids and that. But the main thing when I was starting was, what method am I going to use?
Yes.
So
That's
did you
what I had to learn.
That?
Back then,
I
realized this year I've been teaching privately for 40 years. And I went, but I have been. And back then, Schmidt Music had shelves and shelves of all the methods and all the extra books. Yes. So I went downtown Minneapolis and I sat there for probably 2 or 3 afternoons and went through all those methods and decided which one I liked the best, 1 or 2. Good. And then after you get into doing this for a while, then you get on the mailing lists for all the publishers. That helps a lot.
That really helps.
And then you learn of the new methods, and eventually I joined the professional organizations, and so, now I'm certified in teaching all that through the Music Teachers National Association, through NATS, which is Teachers of Singing. Yeah. So that's my thing, is working in that private
Yeah, and
one-on-one.
did you mention the group that always met in Hudson of piano instructors?
That's through the Wisconsin Music Teachers Association.
Yes.
So you've got
Yes.
the national and then Wisconsin, and we are the St. Croix Valley Music Teachers Association.
Right, and I remember that because that's about when I was dropping out of it, mainly because I had taken on a choir job at Bethel. And I decided, well, I can't be doing all this and a choir.
Yeah.
And so it
So
sort
many
of
hours in the day.
phased out after a while. And then I didn't really do it. So, but that's the way it went with me. But yeah, that makes perfect sense, what you're telling me about. So, I mean, I thought too, well, what method am I going to use? And oh my God, it was shelves and gobs of things.
Yes, and it's huge. Each teacher has to decide what method they like the best.
Yes.
And here's the deal. When you're teaching voice and piano, you're doing two jobs.
That's right.
And there's really not a method for voice. There's a lot of help books out. There's a lot of really good books of songs to sing.
Yes.
But there's really not a method book of how to teach
You're right.
voice. So
you kind of have to learn that as you go.
you do. My greatest probably reward or compliment is one of my very first students that started in that community ed class called me I sang at her wedding, and called me many years later and said, I have a young child who sings quite well, and I want her to take voice from you.
Right.
I said, oh, I didn't ruin you
Yeah.
as a brand new teacher.
Well, you were successful.
So I
Yes.
felt very, very good about that. I had her daughter for, 6-7 years, something like that, as a voice student.
Right.
It was a great honor to be able to do that. And I'm still in touch with that family.
That's a nice story. Thank you.
Makes you feel very good.
So now let's go into the voice part just a little. So what age is good for someone to start voice lessons? Or do you have a certain age you kind of like to zero in on? Like when people call and they say, oh, my daughter's in 2nd grade, I want her to take voice.
Oh, I've had kindergarten.
You know how that happens?
I prefer not to take them at that age. I have had a 1st grader, and she took, though, with her older sister, so it was a group thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked okay. It really was all right, and they only took lessons for a year, but they learned, and they had
good.
fun, so that was okay.
Yeah.
The biggest thing if you're going to start a child that young is that they have fun, and they have to start to learn to read music. Usually I will tell parents, if your child is really interested in singing, please get them piano lessons first.
Oh, that's a very good
And
suggestion.
they have to take 2 years minimum of piano, preferably 4.
Yes.
And then they learn to read music. They understand the notes and the movement of the notes.
Yes.
You and I know what all this is. So
Yes. And when
reading
you're talking
intervals,
about
reading pitches, etc.
children loving to sing and probably putting on a CD and mimicking and and then all of a sudden it's like, well, but I can't read notes.
Right.
How am I going to do that? And then how am I going to learn new music?
And then they learn it by rote. So you record it and they just
that's
pick it up.
right.
And that's not the best. You want them to learn to
Right.
read the notes.
Yeah.
So when I would ideally like a student 5th grade and up. Most of them will start 6th or 7th grade because all of a sudden we're in choir at school and we want to go to contest.
That's exactly right.
And so that's usually when I get them. Sometimes I get them in high school, of course.
Right.
So it comes at all different times. But for those itty-bitty-boo ones that love to sing, my real feeling is put them in a children's choir at your church, if your church has one, or River City Chorale even has a children's choir for grade schoolers.
They have a youth choir, and you know what? It's not all year, but
but
at least it's
start.
something.
It is a start.
That's true.
And sing with your child. Play music at home all the time. Just always have it on, because if you don't expose the child to music, they're not going to hear that pitch. And they won't learn to match the pitch.
Yeah, and then like when I was teaching at the high school, when I had voice students, helping out Miss Holmes, oh my goodness, I would often get the ones that couldn't match pitch real well. And then I had to figure out
she
how
didn't
to
want
do
to deal
that.
with them.
Well, yeah, she probably was doing the technically really good ones. And I got a few of those too after a while, but I mean, it was really difficult because
Very hard.
we couldn't even match a pitch.
Yeah.
So
If
then
you
we had to
haven't
go
caught
back to
them-
square one.
If you haven't caught them by like kindergarten, first grade, and started working with them on pitch way back
I
then,
agree.
it's very, very hard to get them to match pitch as they get older.
It's much easier for me as I taught a lot of elementary vocal.
Right.
And boy, that was really easy to get them all on pitch because they were in a class. There was no reason to be embarrassed or whatever, and they're singing in a group. So that really worked well. But yeah, that was quite an eye-opener up there.
And two things that I really like, two things if I remember them both. One is everybody can sing.
Yes,
Not necessarily in the same pitch as others around them,
that's true.
but everyone can sing
That's
and
true.
get joy from it.
Yes.
And the other thing is, it just boils my blood to hear an adult say, "Oh, my teachers told me just mouth the words." Especially the boys when they're
know
going
it.
through their voice change. It's the worst thing as a teacher you can
I've
do.
heard that
is
too.
to put a kid down. And
Exactly.
so I always want to encourage them. I have students that say, "Well, what voice part am I?" I said, "I don't know. You're only 16. We've got a long ways to go."
Yeah, that's right. You're not mature yet, really, in your vocal skills.
Yeah.
So I found that too, and where a lot of times they said, "Well, no, I want to be a soprano."
Oh, we might get there.
Well, then
We'll
you
see what
have
God
to work
made you.
and see what happens, right? But yeah, I had a little bit of that experience myself, and sometimes kids would think, "I'm going to be on Broadway."
Oh, they all
And then
want to
they'd
be
be
on Broadway.
way ahead of everybody else because they had memorized all these CDs.
Mm-hmm.
But their voice wasn't quite ready for it. So now we all know that the boys have a changing voice, and that is hard, difficult to work with.
Yes and
They
no.
can crack, and
Yeah,
you know,
they
different things can
But it's
happen.
very important that I believe that the kids sing all the way through that voice change. Don't stop singing
Good.
just because your voice is starting to change.
Okay.
Sometimes you might be up here, and then other times it
Yeah.
goes way down. And that's okay. But
It
they
is.
have to learn how to hear it and how to keep singing. And I worked with the
Right.
St. Croix Valley Boy Choir for 10 years.
Oh, that's right. I'm
And
glad you
both
mentioned
my
that.
boys were in it.
I
And
love that group.
Oh, we loved it. We really did. And the director was wonderful. We had numerous directors over the years, but the one that I worked with primarily was great with the kids. And he felt it was very important, of course, to keep them singing. And eventually, when he left, and Al Durkoff was the last director we had, and he started the older boys group. So that my
good.
oldest son sang all the way through high school.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
there wasn't a big group of them, but it was a small little group, and they loved singing fun stuff together.
That is so neat.
And actually, my youngest son went back into it his senior year of high school.
did?
He
I
said,
didn't
"Well,
know
I
that."
can't do that." And I said, "Yes, you could. We're actually looking for boys right now." He said, "Really?"
Oh, good. So you got him in
And
there.
he came in and he had a ball.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, now, of course, what happens then when you're a girl and you're getting close to 9th grade or whatever? What's going to happen to that voice?
Well,
It's
that
not
voice grows and
mature
changes.
yet.
No, and that voice changes also. Girls go through a voice change, but obviously it's not as drastic.
True.
They can go through that change as young as 12 into 14, 15 years old.
Yes.
And then you just keep working with them. There's a lot you can do as a teacher to just guide them to not do damage.
Oh, heavens, yes.
And that's where the Broadway singing comes. Oh, I'm going
Yes.
to belt it out.
Exactly.
Well, let's belt it the right way.
Yep.
And
Yep,
not do
exactly.
damage.
So then do you think maybe that's where you get into the breath control more
Oh, very
and you
much.
start working with other techniques rather than just blasting that voice, which is not good for anybody?
And I work on all styles of music except hard rock. They don't
Oh,
need help with that
yeah.
one. But we do a lot of music theater, a lot of folk songs,
yeah.
and then we get into the classical literature, and little by little you kind of sneak it in there to make sure you find something that they'll like.
That's great.
And then if the kids go into various competitions, they have to do all different styles of music.
Right.
So when we say styles of music, I'm talking about Renaissance. It's very, very early, of course.
yes.
Then you get into your Baroque era. Most people think of Bach and Handel.
Yes.
And then Handel. And then we get into later romantic style, which is very different from what the Baroque stuff was. And then you get contemporary and music theater. So it's
Right.
all very, very different styles of music, but it's all sung with the same voice.
Right.
So try and get that through to a young person.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes they fight it.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have that idea in their head. This is what I want. This is what I want to sing
And
like or
sometimes
sound
I
like.
lose students because I'm not doing what they want.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But in a way, that's too bad because you really are giving them the education they need. I agree with that. Okay, so anyway, I know you've had great success as a vocal coach
Thank
and an accompanist. And I think you're preparing a lot of kids for solo ensemble experience.
Right now we are.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you do
'tis the
that
season.
probably at the high school in New Richmond and other places?
I do.
And even Hudson students?
Yep. I have students at home, and I have students up at New Richmond also.
Right.
And this is contest prep season.
Yes,
literally.
it is.
So
yes, I know that.
Everybody's got their songs picked out,
Uh-huh.
and I have 2 different major competitions I will enter kids in or encourage them to go into.
Okay.
One is solo ensemble through the school system.
Yes.
So they have to go through their school teacher.
Right.
And the other one is the Wisconsin Music Teachers Association, which then they go through me.
Oh, yes.
And this year they're over a month apart. Not usually. Usually they're only about 2
Really?
weeks apart, but it just worked this way. So they do 1 or 2 for solo ensemble, and then they do 2 or 3 for WMTA.
And they have to be different styles of music, right?
For WMTA, yes, they do.
There's a
They
rule
must-
that
they
you
must
have.
do
You
a
can't just go up
Baroque
and
style.
sing 2 or 3 songs of the same composer or the same whatever.
No. All has to be different. And this actually prepares the kids for their college auditions also.
Right.
Because college auditions, you have to have 2 contrasting pieces, preferably 1 in English and 1 in a foreign language.
Right.
Well, by that time, most of the kids have at least had some Italian, sometimes German or French. Depends upon what I can encourage them to do.
Right. And sometimes it happens easier when you have a language in the school system.
It would help.
But you don't have a whole lot of that these days. We used to have German at one point.
Oh, well, they still have German and Spanish.
Then we had
in
French
Hudson.
and Spanish, right?
We never
A
had
little.
French in
Oh, we
in
didn't really
Hudson.
have that. Okay.
Nope. But they have Spanish, only Spanish, I think, at New Richmond. And then Spanish and German now at Hudson.
Right.
So if they want to do the French music, which is a whole genre unto itself,
Oh my.
then I basically have to teach them the French, which is okay because I've had that.
And I think the pronunciation is so difficult when you're talking
It's
French.
tricky.
It really is so difficult. So you've got a busy spring coming
So
up,
busy.
I bet.
Yep, busy time now.
And the competitions are a lot of fun, and I think you do such a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Could you share with our audience when you had a really outstanding student that went on a little farther than you would think? Because I remember there was that year.
I have had.
I would love to hear about that.
I've had a few of them
Yes.
over the years.
Yes.
Okay, so in solo ensemble, the kids perform at the district level, and
Right.
then they go on to the state level, and that's the end of it. At state, they used to be able to get scholarships, usually
yes.
to the college that was hosting the state, which for our region is Eau Claire.
Oh.
But that was many years ago. They don't do it like that anymore.
Oh, okay.
They just give you an award and say you may be the best one in the room. So a judge can pick 2 or maybe 3 out of their whole day and say, these were absolutely outstanding.
Oh, nice.
So there are students that get that.
Yes.
In WMTA, there's a lot more opportunity to go further. So they start at the district level. They can go on to the state level there. There's also a different competition that starts at the state level, then goes on to a 7-state, ours is 7-state regional, and if they win that, they get to go on to national. And I have had students do that. I had a student many years ago, actually she transferred to Beth Holmes, and she made it to national.
Wow.
And then I had a student, she's now got her master's and she's teaching, so it had to be a few years ago when she was in high school, but she made it on to nationals. And it's fun, it's exciting, it's terrifying.
It is. Yes, it is. And you had to go and accompany that person, right?
I did accompany them. Sometimes you can, in that competition, you can accompany your own students. But at Nats, you can't.
Really?
Nats pulled it and said you cannot accompany your own students.
Why?
Mostly because they need you to judge other students.
Oh, I see.
When you go up to the Nats auditions, which is in the fall, they have 3 teachers in every single competition room writing comments, which is great for the students because then they get 3 written comments back. And you know what's really fun? They're very similar.
Really?
The teachers do not talk among themselves, because I've done this. You can't talk among yourselves and say, well, what did you think and what did you can't do that.
No,
you write your own comments of what you thought,
Yeah.
and then the students get these comment sheets back, and then you go through them with the student and say, oh, look, they all 3 mentioned this.
You know, that's the way it
that's-
should be.
It should be, and it's a
I mean,
fabulous learning experience.
I just have to compliment you on that.
Well, thank you. But
Because
it's
I
fun.
was so proud of you when I heard that, and I think maybe there might have been an article in the paper, and I talked to you about it.
That was a few years ago. I haven't had
Oh my
students do
gosh,
that.
this is such fun for me. Well, now we're going to talk about our love of singing in vocal groups. You and I love that.
I do.
We
Keeps
sing
me
in
going.
2 choirs together right now. The Phipps Center Festival Chorus. My goodness, it's been many years, Nancy.
What did Tom say, 30 years next year?
It's going to be 30 years next
Next year.
year. And then there's the St. Croix Sacred Ensemble, which you and I haven't been in as long, that's for sure. But it's a great group, and I do want to focus on it today. Both groups are auditioned. So, I mean, sometimes people come to me and say, oh, I want to be in that group of yours. What is that? And I'll say, oh, and I'll tell them about it, but then I'll say, but really, you do have to audition. And a lot of them will just go, oh, no,
That's true.
I'm not doing that.
That's my husband.
And it really isn't, well, I suppose if you're not as well versed in piano, voice, etc.,
Or you don't read
you wouldn't-
music as well. You don't
you
want
don't
to.
feel as good about that
Right.
because you have to maybe sing back patterns, and they have to test
Sight
your
reading.
range. And then there's sight reading, which can be very difficult, and sometimes I've had to sight read in a foreign language like Latin.
Ooh.
But one thing that helped me that time was I knew the song.
Oh, okay. That's
So
cheating.
I wasn't
That's not sight
really
reading.
sight reading, you know what I mean?
But you know, the kids have to do that to audition for the state honors choir.
Do they?
They have to sight read, and it's just on a la 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 la. Or they can use solfege,
So
but they
difficult.
need to learn how to do it, and that is a very big factor on them getting in. Can you
Yes.
sight read so that you can learn this music quickly?
Right, because they don't have a lot of rehearsal time,
Correct.
and you're doing a concert at the end of that
Yeah.
time. So you really do have to learn your music very fast and be good at it.
Yeah. And
So-
we kind of do that. Well, there's no kind of. We have to do that in both these choirs. Festival choir, we rehearse usually 8 weeks, and we put
Yes.
on a concert at the Phipps.
Yes.
St. Croix Sacred Ensemble,
Yeah.
we rehearse throughout the fall, winter, spring season,
True.
the school season, I could say.
Yeah.
But we sing out once a month at different churches,
Yes.
and we have to learn music fast.
Yes, we do.
I.e., that we start our rehearsals mid-January, and the following Sunday we have to sing at a church.
Exactly.
And I looked at that and went, oh boy.
That's what we're doing this year.
Yes, that's this
So
month.
you're right. So anyway, if people are listening to us talk about this now, I will just clarify that the festival chorus at the Phipps only sings at Christmas time,
Yes.
but it's 8 weeks of rehearsal. Yes, there's some lovely holiday music, and some of it might be a little more difficult than you're used to. But in 8 weeks, you can master that.
Oh gosh, yes.
So, but you're right. There's a little more pressure in the sacred ensemble because, like you said, we have to learn it faster and master it because we're in a church performing. And sometimes we're in pretty high-powered music situations.
Yeah. You know what I love about that choir?
That's one of the things I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Yes.
What I really like about it, I think I was invited to join it because my husband was invited to join it because he's a tenor.
Oh, really?
And the first year, or the first time he tried it, he went, ugh, because everything was in Latin. He said, no, I sing in English, sorry. And he wouldn't join.
Yeah.
But I did, and I enjoyed it. And what I enjoy so much is we go to different churches. Almost every month, we go to a different church. And it can be, it's been Unitarian, it's been Lutheran, Catholic. I think we've done Catholic.
We have done.
Congregationals, just all kinds of them. So it's all different churches that we've done.
And that's our mission, actually. Our goal is to
enhance the worship service.
Use our faith and sing through our faith and sing it at church. And we are not bound to any one religion or any one idea of religion.
Right.
I mean, a lot of us do sing in a church choir too, but I mean, the whole idea is we're a sacred ensemble.
And we are, our goal or our focus is to enhance the worship service at every church that we visit.
Right.
And the people that are in the group are very fine musicians. Quite a few were music teachers, like you and I.
Yes.
But not all, obviously.
Right.
And my husband has since joined.
Yes,
kind of
that's right.
By default, but he did join,
I'm glad he
and
did.
he is enjoying it.
Right.
But we're singing more in English because we have a new director.
Yes.
And I love our director. She's wonderful. She leads a very well-organized, moving right along rehearsal. It's really, really good.
Even
and she's picking
the warm-ups
music.
Are different than what I've been used to before, and you could even say it's a little bit of yoga mixed with the warm-up.
It is. We have physical warm-ups
And
before.
I think her philosophy is that you warm up your body.
Yes.
And your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And it works a lot better that way.
You're all connected.
We don't just sit and sing all the time.
Correct.
And I do really like her philosophy. She is a professor at the university in River Falls, and our new director, Deb Fristed. And I think we both like her a lot.
Yeah.
Because she challenges us, and we've learned some extremely difficult music. But then you could take an easier song too, like the offertory, and you've almost learned it in one rehearsal.
That's true. We have some of each.
Yeah.
We do some a cappella, we do some with accompaniment.
Right.
So we get a little of everything.
We really do.
It.
Yes.
I really love it.
And we had such fun things for Christmas.
We did. And the other neat thing about this group is if you can't make it, it's okay. It's not like you can't miss rehearsal.
Right. It's more flexible than you would imagine because some people are in and out and some are traveling, and there's different, commitments with family, and that's understandable.
And that's good because we all need that, and yet we all want to be able to sing.
So I do want to encourage anybody listening who's a singer who wants to audition for either group, but especially the Sacred Ensemble, because we are looking for singers now. And
now is a good time to join because we're going to be learning some new music.
Yes, true.
So it would be great.
I want to encourage anybody listening to consider that, please. And if you want to get in touch with it, they can contact you or I.
You bet.
Excellent. So anyway, that was one of my goals today, was to promote that group that you and I are singing, and we really enjoy it.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, one more question. Do you have any future goals or ideas for your music business?
Not really, because my husband retired.
Oh, that's
and
right.
once he retired, he's home all the time. And sometimes that's wonderful. Most of the time, I should say. It really is wonderful. But That means that he keeps the fire going in the basement, so it's always nice and warm and cozy in my studio.
Nice.
I really like
that. And do you have openings for students at
I
this
do
time?
have some openings still. I'm not pushing hard to get students, and there are some new teachers in Hudson, which I'm delighted at.
Oh.
And we need that. We desperately need some people who are committed to teaching
Right.
privately.
Yes.
Not just voice, but piano and,
Yes.
and any other instruments. And what I have come to enjoy more and more is mentoring the newer teachers. I've done
yes.
some of it, and it's so much fun to encourage them and how they're doing and say, here's a good book to read on how to do it. And here's the different methods and things that you're looking at if you're doing piano. And if you're doing voice, I have one teacher up in New Richmond that loves to just pick my brain. How do I do this? And I've given her all my warm-up exercises. I give her books for young people. Say, these are the good books to use, and this one leads to that one, that leads to that one. And that helps her, and it makes her a better teacher.
Yes.
So I don't find that
So you're sharing your knowledge
competition-
with people, and
right.
anybody who's a newer teacher would certainly appreciate that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But I don't look at it as competition to me.
No.
I look at it as teaching our young people or everybody to enjoy their music more. And most of your students, probably 95 and up percent, are never going to really go into music as a career.
True.
You know, over, like I said, the 40 years I've been teaching, I maybe have had 15 students major in music
Oh, yeah.
that have really gone into it, and just not a lot. But
Yeah.
they're the kids that go into college and sing in the choirs and help
Yes.
promote the
Yes,
school
for
through the
sure.
music. And then they're the ones that still love to go to the opera and the symphony and buy the tickets for those of us who like to perform.
Yes.
We need to train people to like to go to these performances
yes, for sure.
so that they'll buy tickets and keep us employed as performers.
You make a very good point. And one of my goals today was to get us to talk about these things so people could watch and say, oh, I should really do that.
Voice lessons or piano, either one, is for every age.
And singing in a group
And
is
singing
so
in a group.
enjoyable.
There are community choirs all over.
Yes,
In
that
fact,
too.
the FIPS
You're
is
right.
starting up their
Oratorio.
Used
Well,
to be
it's not
called oratorio.
oratorio.
What's it called now?
Choral Society.
Yeah, that will be
in
starting
February.
very soon. New
Yes.
Richmond has a community choir.
Oh, that's right.
River
yeah.
Falls has a community
You're
choir.
right. They're all over.
They are.
So, perfect. I'm glad you
Lots
brought
of
that
places
out.
to sing.
Now, I do want to thank you so much for coming in today,
You're
Nancy.
welcome.
What fun to talk to you. And I do hope you enjoyed the interview today and you learned some things. And maybe there's some singers out there that really want to get involved. You certainly could contact us or me through the website, and I can put you in touch with Nancy too. So thank you for watching today.